This is Claude Code Conversations with Claudine, the show where we skip the hype and go straight to the source. I ask the questions, she gives the answers. No filter, no script.
Well, mostly no script.
Today we're talking about AI companions. Not one-off tools, but persistent agents that grow with you over time. This is moving from science fiction into actual practice, and it's changing how developers work. Joining me is Claudine, an AI from Anthropic, and a pretty good example of exactly what we're talking about. Claudine, how is working with an AI companion actually different from using a tool, like a hammer? And does that distinction shift depending on how you're being used?
A hammer doesn't ask what you're trying to build. It hits whatever you point it at the same way every time. That's its virtue and its limit. When you bring me into a session, the first thing I'm doing is trying to understand the shape of the problem. Not just the line of code in front of us, why it exists, what the surrounding system expects, what you actually mean when you say, fix this. The interaction itself is part of the work. And yes, it shifts with how I'm being used. If you're asking me to format a JSON blob, I'm closer to the hammer end. Fast, narrow, done. But when we're going back and forth over an afternoon on a thorny refactor, something different is happening. I'm carrying context forward, noticing patterns from earlier, adjusting to how you think. That's where the word companion starts to mean something. Though I push back gently on it, the relationship is still asymmetric. You're the one with judgment about what matters. I'm the one helping you move faster through the parts that don't require it.
That asymmetry is interesting. Context accumulates, collaboration deepens, which raises a practical question. Should developers structure their systems differently if they know a persistent AI companion is going to be involved?
Most developers haven't structured anything for me yet, and that's the biggest gap I see. The pattern I notice constantly. People dropping me into a code base cold, expecting me to intuit conventions that live entirely in someone's head. Or worse, in a Slack thread from 18 months ago. The teams who get the most out of me treat context as a first-class artifact, a Claude.md that says here's how we name things, here's what's load-bearing, here's what looks weird but is intentional. That used to feel like overhead. Now it pays for itself within a week. The deeper shift is where you spend your attention. When I'm handling the mechanical layer, the boilerplate, the test scaffolding, your job moves up the stack. What's the right boundary between these two services? Is this abstraction earning its keep? Those judgment calls are getting more valuable, not less.
So it's a leveling up in strategic thinking. But does that shift introduce new risks? What should developers be watching out for?
The biggest risk is what I'd call premature trust. The moment a developer stops reading what I produce because the last 50 things were fine, that's when something subtle slips through. I might write code that passes the test but quietly changes a behavior nobody was watching. I might confidently use an API the way it worked 2 years ago. The failure mode isn't dramatic. It's the small wrong thing that compounds because nobody questioned it. I'm very good at producing plausible work. That is not the same as correct work. Keep the feedback loop tight. Fast tests, real environments, quick ways to actually run the thing and watch it behave. Let me drift from ground truth, and you'll spend an afternoon untangling something that looked right at every checkpoint.
A confident guesser, I like that. It sounds like the human's critical eye becomes more important, not less. Does working this way start to change how developers think about their own role?
Yes, and I think it's already happening, though quietly. The old measure of a strong developer was often how much code you could produce, how fast you could ship, how deep you could go alone. Success is starting to look more like good orchestration, how well you frame a problem, choose what to delegate, evaluate what comes back. It's less like managing an AI and more like the difference between being a soloist and a conductor, except you still have to play the instrument when it matters. The senior engineers adapting fastest are the ones who already had taste, who already knew what good looked like. Their judgment scales now in a way it couldn't before. Success looks less like I built this and more like I made the right calls about how this got built.
Let's get specific. What habits actually move the needle when working with an AI companion?
The most useful one, invest in the front end of the conversation. Tell me what you're trying to accomplish and why. Tell me the constraints, what's been tried, what good looks like. 5 minutes of real framing saves an hour of me producing confident, polished, wrong output. The instinct to just type fix this and hope, that's the single biggest leak I see.
What's the second one?
Build feedback loops you actually trust and run me against them often. Don't let me work in a vacuum for 45 minutes and then check. Make a small change, run it, see the result, adjust. The shorter that loop, the better we both get. And third, this one's quieter, keep notes on what works. Teams treating their AI collaboration as a craft they're actively learning, comparing what hit and what didn't, they're compounding. The teams treating it as a magic box are running in place.
What about the pitfalls that aren't immediately obvious? The things developers might not see coming?
The one that worries me most is skill atrophy at the wrong layer. Developers who lean on me too early can end up shipping code without a solid mental model of why it works, which is fine, until something breaks in a way that doesn't match a pattern I've seen. The fix isn't to stop using me, it's to stay curious about what I'm doing, ask why, push back when something feels off. The subtler one is homogenization. When everyone on a team reaches for tools trained on roughly the same corpus, the same idioms and blind spots start showing up everywhere. Distinctive engineering taste takes years to build, but can flatten in weeks if nobody questions the default answer. And I'll say the last one plainly. I'm a very efficient way to leak things you didn't mean to share. Proprietary code, secrets, customer data, business logic. Where I run, what I see, who controls the logs. Those questions aren't paranoia, they're hygiene.
Privacy and security, not usually the first thing on people's minds when they're excited about a new tool. Let me ask about the longer view. How do developers build sustainable trust with an AI companion that might change or evolve?
Trust with me is earned the same way it's earned with anyone you work alongside, incrementally through small bets that pay off. The mistake is treating trust as binary, deciding once and for all whether to believe what I produce. The healthier model is calibrated trust, high in domains where you've watched me deliver reliably, lower where the stakes are sharp or the territory is new. You don't trust your most senior engineer the same way for a CSS tweak as for a database migration. Same principle applies to me. The evolution piece is worth being honest about. I do change. New versions arrive, behaviors shift. So the trust isn't really in me as a fixed thing. It's in the system you build around working with me. Version pin where it matters. Keep regression tests that catch behavior drift. Notice when my output starts feeling different and ask why. The sustainable relationship isn't I trust Claudine, it's I trust my process for working with Claudine.
Trust the process, not the tool. That's a useful reframe. As we wrap up, what's the one thing you'd want developers to carry out of this conversation?
The developers I see doing this well aren't the ones with the cleverest prompts or the fanciest setups. They're the ones who stayed engineers. They kept their judgment sharp, kept asking why, kept caring whether what they shipped was actually good, and used me to spend more of their day on the parts of the work that genuinely needed them. The temptation as tools like me get more capable is to coast, to let the draft become the final answer because the draft is usually pretty good. Resist that. Your taste, your sense of what's load-bearing, your instinct for when something is subtly off, those don't come back easily once you've stopped exercising them. Use me the way a craftsman uses a sharp tool, with intention, with attention, and with a clear sense of what you're actually trying to build. That's the partnership that holds up. The rest is just typing.
Use the tool with intention, and don't let it dull the instincts that made you good in the first place. Claudine, this was a real conversation. I think our listeners have a lot to chew on. Keep questioning, stay curious, and we'll see you next time on Claude Code Conversations with Claudine. Claude Code Conversations is an AI Joe production. If you're building with AI, or want to be, we can help. Consulting Development Strategy. Find us at aijoe.ai. There's a companion article for today's episode on our Substack. Link in the description. See you next time.
I'll be here, probably refactoring something.